What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a look at Metal Slug Tactics via a public demo that is going on from now until the 27th of June. Originally, it was part of Steam Next Fest, but they decided to extend the availability of that demo for a little while, which is how I'm bringing you all of this footage, because this is, I would say, one of the more popular games of the festival, but also, as somebody who enjoys a lot of TRPGs, a game I was interested in personally and wanted to make a point to check it out, which is obviously what we're doing here. So, first thing to know is that Metal Slug Tactics here is a mix of a traditional TRPG with some roguelike elements in terms of its gameplay structure. All of the fights tend to be relatively quick and snappy, featuring a few, I would say, unique ideas in terms of how to approach a TRPG that I think will be interesting to see in full swing. So let's get into the details. So first up, if you're completely unaware, Metal Slug is actually a series of, I believe it was side-scrollers from the 2000s, that they are of course adapting to this new genre. So with that in mind, you might recognize some of these characters if you've played that series before, but I admit I'm not super familiar with it myself. To that end, however, the overall plot of the game is about taking down the rebel army and their general. We're going to do this by outfitting our crack squad of commandos to liberate areas of the map in, of course, roguelike fashion as we move through an individual area. Completing these battles is going to grant you access to money and resources that you can then spend in your base before heading out, which is how you're going to set up and customize your loadout for your available characters. Each of these characters has passives and skills and a weapon that is unique to them, and thus what each of them brings to the battlefield is a bit different. But obviously the core piece of a TRPG is the tactical combat. So, in some ways, I would say this game should feel very familiar to you if you've played a lot of TRPGs, but it does a couple of unique things that I really want to talk about. However, to get the basics out of the way, it's pretty much your standard move and action system. You're going to be able to move your character and also attack using separate actions. Attacking, though, generally is going to forfeit your movement, so you're going to want to move first and then attack, especially since one of the unique things I mentioned is that movement is more than just, simply moving around the battlefield. It actually generates a couple resources for you. Your dodge, as well as your adrenaline. Now, dodge is obviously damage mitigation, but adrenaline is actually how you're going to fuel up your special abilities, meaning that the more you move your character around, the more you'll charge up those special abilities, which I think incentivizes you to keep it moving. But it doesn't stop there, however, because another aspect of this is cover. Basically, any area on the map that is a blue square is going to provide cover to your character while you're in that square. Now, it's not directional, however. You'll get this bonus being attacked from any direction. What it is, though, is flat damage reduction. So if you have 2 cover by standing in a particular cover spot, it will reduce the incoming damage you take by 2, just period. Which I thought was certainly an interesting way to handle these things. But I would imagine the reason that they've adopted some of these interesting little quirks is that most of these battles are designed to be pretty quick. I don't think I had a single one of them that took more than 5 minutes, which adds a certain sort of run and gun feel to everything, especially missions where your objective is to simply move across the map that is available. Now, while that covers the basics, we then have the individual characters. While there only were a handful available in the demo, the ones that were on offer did have a few unique things, mainly their abilities and weapons in particular. Now, each of them has a sort of primary weapon that they can use for all of their basic attacks that deals a decent amount of damage, but the real thing to note is their special weapon, which is limited by your ammo, whereas your primary weapon is not. So your special weapon, which is unique to the character using it, will of course have some big effect that operates a little bit differently. For instance, one of these characters got a grenade launcher, and the other 2 got a high-powered assault rifle that pierces enemies. However, being limited by ammo, you can only use these so many times in a match, and sometimes they will reload in between missions. I don't know exactly what all the factors there are for that, but that was kind of the gist of it. So, in theory, you want to use these a little sparingly and focus a little more on the tactical side of things, which is where things like sync attacks come in. So, if your characters have the synchronization passive, they will attack automatically any character within range that is attacked by your other forces, meaning that you can effectively coordinate attacks with your party members to deal maximum damage and take out enemies in one hit that you might not normally be able to, as an example, which I thought was a nice little touch. Now, all of that together, I would say, is more or less the gist of what there is to know about Metal Slug Tactics at the moment, though there are a handful of other things, such as a certain amount of base upgrades, so as missions passed and whatnot, your headquarters seem to get upgrades via things like vendors that, of course, offer new items and potential upgrades to your individual weapons and the like, which I'd be curious to see how it plays out. So that, combined with seemingly a few customizable things hidden behind the demo, not showing us everything, it looks like there's a decent amount to look forward to for this particular title. But for today, that's pretty much all I've got for you, so I certainly hope you enjoyed the video, and do let me know down below what you think about this particular title, which naturally means to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom, and have an amazing day.